What's up, Shredheads? Welcome to another episode of the Pokemon Card Classic. And today we're talking about how Pokemon prices never drop until they do. Are you ready for Shreddy? Now in this video, I don't want it to be a rehearsed or bullet pointed kind of video. I just want to kind of talk to the camera, talk to everybody watching, as if I would be having a chat with a friend or somebody just talking about Pokemon. Basically the same chats that I've been having over the past week or so on Instagram. Now before we get into that, just a quick update on the channel, and I'm actually going to upload a channel update video. The past couple of weeks I've been super busy with real life. So as a result, Instagram hasn't been as active. I've not actually filmed anything for YouTube, and this is probably the first time I've filmed in 3.5 weeks, possibly more. So this video is being filmed on Monday the 16th of November. Hopefully it's going to go live today. But there's been a little bit of a break from the channel, from the Instagram, just because real life's taken over and I've not had as much time to focus on Pokemon. However, the jack-stacked serial thriller of Pokemon card collecting is back today with this video. So if you want more channel updates, then please check out the other video I'm going to upload later this week. Today though, we are talking about the price dip that is happening across Pokemon at the minute. Now, this is something that I covered in a video a couple of months ago. I said how not to lose money when the Pokemon market crashes, and the comments I got in that video were ridiculous. The messages I got on Instagram were ridiculous. I actually had some people posting arsey comments on the YouTube video and then DMing me apologising for it. So I don't know if they were trying to like portray a super pro Pokemon, super pro price increase publicly, and then they didn't kind of believe it themselves, so they DM'd me about it. And what I'll do, I don't want to name and shame those people because I'm not really into that kind of thing, but I'll probably, yeah, if you can go and check the comments out on that video, I'll put a link down in the description below for you to go and check that out. But people, when I mentioned about how not to lose money during a price drop, I got so much hate for that video. And the hate seemed to come from people who mainly were Pokemon resellers, or as I kind of make fun of on Instagram, full-time Pokemoners living out of the mum's box room. So what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, and I don't want this video to come across as like slating anybody, you know, we've all got to start somewhere. But the people who seem to kind of say that Pokemon never drops, they're literally, I have DMs, I have comments on that video that says Pokemon never ever drops in price, are people who are Pokemon resellers, Pokemon flippers, Pokemon retailers, soul traders, buying and selling cards on eBay, on Instagram, on Facebook, etc, etc. And I've spoken to quite a few of these people on Instagram, and a lot of them are younger people living at home. They're maybe not making enough money to be able to afford to move out, but they're making probably a comfortable living to be able to stay living at home. And they just don't seem to have the sense of, I don't know if it's maybe like world experience. I'll put it down to common sense, which I'll come on to in a second when I'm talking about the price dip and the prices rising. But it seemed to be a lot of Pokemon retailers, and I say retailers, I mean soul traders selling Pokemon cards for a living, who were adamant that Pokemon prices never drop. Now, as I've said in my graded gem video, in my videos with Pokenomics, as I've said on videos here on the channel, nobody is an expert in Pokemon. Some people are more experienced than others for sure, but nobody can predict and nobody can flat outright say what is going to happen with the market, myself included. And I'm always clear to make, you guys aware that these videos I put out are just my opinion. They're not facts. I'm in no better position than somebody else to talk about it, other than I've been around maybe a little bit longer. And a lot of what I say, and the reason I've not covered a video about the price drop yet, is because to me, my approach, my thinking around the price rise, the price dips, is common sense. However, for a lot of people, it seems that my common sense approach, or what I would consider to be common sense, is some kind of revelation. I was actually having this exact same chat with two guys last night on Instagram, and I wanted to film this video over the weekend, but again, real life took over, didn't have a chance. But it was those two chats I had last night kind of made me think, right, I'm going to film this video today. So the people who were saying that Pokemon never ever drops in price, definitely from my experience, were those who were resellers. So number one, always be mindful of where you're getting your information from, where you're getting your source from. People who make a living selling Pokemon cards, people who make a living either flipping or, you know, even buying wholesale, buying modern products at wholesale and selling it on, it isn't their best interest for people to believe that Pokemon is this everlasting roller coaster that's going up and up and it's not going to drop. It's only, you know, it's like an elevator, it's a magical staircase that's only going up. Remember Mario 64, before you had all of the golden stars? It was like that staircase, you just climb and climb and climb and climb and up, 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 up. Where are you going to stop? It would never stop, it would always go up. I hope people out there get the Mario 64 reference. But I think people, these resellers, want you to think that Pokemon is only ever going to go up, and that is ridiculous. I covered in my last video how in 2016 we saw a spike and then we saw a drop again, and people were trying to deny that that even happened, but okay, whatever. We are seeing a price, not a crash, depends how you want to define a crash, okay? We are seeing retraces, which I believed was going to happen months ago, and then it just got to the point where I kept thinking we're going to see a retrace, we're going to see a retrace, we're going to see a retrace, and that retrace never came. I knew it was going to happen at some point. No, I didn't know. I suspected, I guessed we were going to see a retrace at some point, but it just came way, way later than what I thought. So what's a retrace? Well, it's when you see a massive spike in prices or a massive climb in prices over, you know, either a short period of time, a spike, or a more gradual period of time. 2020, in all honesty, we've seen prices climbing from like February, March time. And then the retrace is when prices come back a little bit, kind of settle, kind of stabilize, and we can kind of say that's the new norm for prices. And I think that's what we're going through at the minute with Pokemon. I'm not here to scare people and to say that the market's crashing. I don't believe it is crashing. What I believe we're seeing is a retrace, a dip in the market and a retrace. And just to, like, again, make you guys aware that Pokemon does drop, Pokemon does dip, and not to listen to these resellers who tell you it's only ever going to go up long term. So what we're going to cover in just a little bit in this video is a load of Pokemon price check. We'll go through some of the PSA prices, the cards that have been selling, and we'll actually have a look to see how much prices have dropped. The cards that I've noticed prices dropping on has been predominantly base set, and it was the base set we saw this massive climb, this massive spike. Since around that Logan Paul video, even before he did his box break, I think it was maybe a week or so before he did his box break, prices were climbing. He did his box break, prices continue to climb, and I think it's around the base set where we're seeing corrections from. The last month or so, I've not really been buying anything. I've not really been, like I say, as active in Pokemon. I've been on Instagram most days, just not as much time as what I was. I've not been checking much of eBay until the last couple of days. And from what I'm seeing on Instagram stories, it's the base set that seems to have been hit hardest. Something I do want to mention is I don't think a correction or a retrace or a dip is affecting the market as a whole. I think there's certain cards that you're seeing not being affected by that. One card, which you may think I'm biased for mentioning, is, because I own it, is this card here, the Shining First Edition Charizard from Neo. Cards like that, I believe, aren't being affected by this because the amount that those cards come up for sale for, they're so scarce. And this card's more scarce than that, don't get me wrong, that's not the scarcest card out there. There's other cards, like, for example, PSA 10 First Edition Charizard. Off the top of my head, I don't know the population reports, but I'm trying to think of, like, a T17 from Neo Genesis. Those kind of cards are scarce. So what we're seeing with the retrace, what is causing the retrace, is a lot of people have entered the hobby, flippers, investors, whatever you want to call them, gobbled up or bought as much as they could or bought some items quickly. They've then saw a little bit of a price dip. They haven't sold yet. They saw a little bit of a price dip. All these people are now panic selling and they're looking to offload the stuff, so they're all putting things. So basically, a lot of the same product came up on the market at the same time, and the demand just isn't there because a lot of the demand was caused by these flippers, these investors coming in from the mainstream, or the influencers getting them into Pokemon, as opposed to the collectors who were here already. There's so much population of unlimited base set PSA cards. I think the PSA 9 Charizard, which I own myself, is got like 4,000. There's over 4,000 PSA 9 base set Charizards, unlimited base set Charizards. So when you've got a card with that much population, there's so much supply out there. So there was just this mad rush of demand because there's so many new people getting in, and now those people are offloading the cards, those people are selling the cards. The prices are going down because there's not as many people buying on them. Supply and demand. More scarce cards, because they don't come for sale that often, because there's not enough product out there. Those haven't seen the massive price jumps like the base sets had, and because those cards are held predominantly by collectors, not investors, people who've got those cards want to hold on to them. Like that Charizard for me, that's in my collection now. Yes, if I got a crazy offer that was going to make me super rich, then yeah, I'd probably take it. But it would take a lot of money for me to part with some of the cards in my collection. And that's the difference between a collector and someone who's flipping, or somebody who's just an investor who's just looking at it as another asset to sell. The cards that are more scarce, that are with collectors, those don't come up on the market often. And if those collectors bought those cards before the price jumps, then the money's kind of irrelevant to them, unless, like I say, there's that much money on the table, there's that much of an offer, it's going to make them super rich. A lot of collectors are just like, meh, I'll just keep it. Plus, true collectors who have been buying cards at these high prices are going to be so rich anyway that they don't need that extra disposable income. They don't need that extra couple of £1,000 or couple of thousand, or even tens of thousands of pounds or dollars in some case for cards, because they're that filthy stinking rich anyway. They don't need that money. They'd rather have the item, they'd rather have the art, they'd rather have the cards in the collection than extra money. So that kind of covers a little bit of why we've seen the price increase. What I said in my previous video about how not to lose money when the market dips, don't sell. And if you're a flipper with no love of Pokemon, then right now you're probably panicking. If you're a flipper that doesn't have the cash flow and has been relying on buy and selling quickly, you don't have that cash reserve in the bank, then yeah, you're probably panicking now. I was talking to a guy last night on Insta, and I don't want this to sound like, oh, I've been flooded with DMs, loads of people have been messaging. I've probably spoken in the last week to maybe a dozen people about this. It's not like in the space of one night I've had hundreds of messages. I don't want to try and make out what a lot of these fake influencers do, like, oh, I've been overrun with DMs, I've been too busy to get back to everyone. I've probably spoken to about a dozen people in the past week about this. But I was speaking to one guy last night, and he was asking me adamantly, what should you do, what should you do, what should you do? And I was like, it sounded to me like he had these cards and he was happy to sit on them as the prices were going up. He's now saw the prices selling, dropping a little bit. He's panicking. He's saying, oh, but my wife's pregnant and I'm worried about a lockdown, I'm worried about this and that. I'm like, why? If your wife, have you just found out your wife's pregnant? Did you know that she was pregnant 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago? If so, why didn't you sell them then? Oh, because I'm a collector. So why are you selling now? Why are you selling now? He was asking me what he should do, and I said, if you can keep hold of your cards, if you're a collector, keep hold of them. But I said, if you're desperate for the money, you're desperate for the money. And I think I'm going to cover this in another video, but when is the best time to sell your cards? For me, the best time to sell is when you are going to get a return, or you are going to get a price that you're happy with. And that's very individualistic for different people, so I'll cover that in another video. But the point I'm trying to make is, when people are messaging me asking, what should I do, should I buy, should I sell? For me, I have a couple of pieces that I wouldn't mind selling at the minute because I've got an abundance of those items, and if I can make some profit on them, then I'd like to. But at the same time, I'm not in the position where currently I am desperate to sell cards to get the cash. So I've got no urgency to sell. Don't get me wrong, there's things I've acquired over the years that have came as part of like bundles or bulk where I'm just like, I'm not too bothered about that. My own personal collection. In all honesty, I've just been too lazy to get around to selling it. Probably is a good thing because of the way the prices have gone this year. I'll get a lot more money selling them now than what I would have done selling them 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. But the point I'm making is, going back to the dip, the reason we saw such a high price climb is 100% because of all of the celebrity / influencer coverage we've seen online. It's all been around base set because base set is the most nostalgic. We saw a lot of people entering the hobby, some collectors, some investors, some flippers. It doesn't really matter what they are to me, just new people entering the hobby. More more demand meant that prices were going up because there's so much demand so quickly, there's so much buzz and so much hype around it with the Logan Paul and the Gary V kind of stuff, that prices just boom went up because there's this massive spotlight on Pokemon for the first time in a long time. We then saw that for whatever reason, people have started selling them, selling off more of the collection, so there's a lot more supply now. People are maybe, wanting the cash all at the same time. We saw a lot of product hit the market. The more supply there is, demand hasn't really gone up because it seems like the buzz has died off a little bit in the past few weeks since Logan Paul's done his box break. Because the demand's died off a little bit, more people are selling. It's, there's more choice there, there's more on the market. So the prices have kind of dipped a little bit. Because the prices climbed so fast, it was inevitable. Like, it was inevitable at some point we were going to see this price drop. But I think a lot of people probably got, I don't want to say greedy, because some people aren't buying for investment reasons. But I think a lot of these people who are maybe flippers or short-term investors were happy to sit on while the prices kept going up every week. But then as soon as there's been a bit of a price drop and a bit of a retrace, people are now panicking. So the only way you're going to lose money is if you sell at a loss. If you don't need to sell your items, then just don't sell them. It's as simple as that. But I understand that not everybody is in that position to do so. So unfortunately, there's going to be some people losing money along the way. There's going to be some people being able to buy the dip, buy cheap. And that's just the situation that we're in at the minute. So what I'm going to do now is load up Pokemon Price Check, and we're going to just have a look at some of these cards that have dropped, just so I can prove to you guys, so there's nobody in the comments who are saying like, oh, well, you haven't given us examples of cards, but we're about to do that now. And while we're about to move over to that, if you have any thoughts about this price dip, then please do put them down in the comments below. I'm not looking for an argument with anyone. I'm not looking for anybody just who's got a different opinion to me to, insult each other. I'm just interested if you've got a different take on this, drop it down in the comments below. Before we get to that though, one other interesting point Shreddy wants to talk about is people talk so much about prices, shill bidding and people shilling prices to make the prices climb. And I've seen on Instagram, Collectibles Guru has got a lot of hate for doing this. And judging by Instagram, you would think that one person has manipulated the entire market to do that. I have seen no stories since we've seen this price dip kind of saying anything along the lines of people are now shill bidding to bring the prices down. If one person, and I've seen dozens, dare I say hundreds of people on Instagram stories and in YouTube comments, kind of saying that the Pokemon climb, like the joke is, it'll be how much by Christmas, is if this one guy has this power to manipulate an entire marketplace and drive the price up for everyone. If he had that much power, or if, not just he, but if one person had so much power, why is that one person now not continuing that climb? People will jump onto prices jumping up as it's somebody's fault that they now can't buy the cards they wanted. One, if you really wanted those cards, you'd have bought them when they were cheaper. Pokemon has been around since 1999. I understand there's newer people getting into the hobby, but if, a lot of the times I see these people posting on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube comments, moaning about how it's now too expensive to collect Pokemon cards. You've had the past 21 years to get into Pokemon and buy these cards when they were dirt cheap compared to what they are now. The people that I've seen complain about this price increase, the best example I can give you, here we go, little story time with Shreddy, okay? The example I'm going to give you is, I'm going to mourn that Lamborghini's a 350 grand car. Yeah, that's too much money. Too much money. I can't afford one now. I was never in the market to buy a Lamborghini in the first place. If I had 350 grand in the bank, I would not go and buy a Lamborghini. So for me to mourn about Lamborghini prices being too expensive is redundant. And that's the example that I always use when it comes to these same people who are talking about how these, you know, high-end cards are now becoming too expensive. A couple of years ago, first edition Charizard, probably PSA 10, I want to guess, in Facebook groups, you'd have been able to get for under 10 grand, easily under 10 grand. People, I've heard stories from Facebook groups when people have seen like someone selling a PSA 10 or a PSA 9 first edition Charizard for a couple of grand, they'll get slated for the pricing because it's too expensive. We're now looking at a first edition Charizard, which Logan Paul bought one, PSA 10, for $150,000. The rapper, I can't remember his name, the Twitch guy, bought one for $223 by the time you paid the fees and things like that on the auction site. The people who were complaining about those Charizard prices were the people probably passing up on that same card when it was 10 grand and under. It's probably the same people who didn't have the disposable income to buy that card then. So if you've never been in the market for that card, why are you now all of a sudden complaining that's too expensive for you to buy? It's just something that baffles me. Again, I go back to that Lamborghini example. I'm not complaining about Lambo prices because I am not in the position to buy one. I don't aspire to own one. And even if I had the money to buy one, I couldn't justify it. I'd have to be like a multi-millionaire to even think about dropping 350 grand on a car. So it's the same kind of like, it makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you guys. But yeah, again, people complaining about the prices. I think I've just gone on a tangent there, but people complaining about the prices have kind of been not the people who were in the market for those cards originally anyway. But then going back to this thing about, you know, one person being able to control the market and inflate all the prices, then people moan about it. Something I'm not seeing anybody talk about is how the market could potentially be manipulated to bring those prices down. All it takes is just like when a card sells for so much money and you know, that sets the new price, people still bidding up, putting the sale through. All it takes is one or two lower end sales, you know, a shill sale on eBay to set the price lower. Oh, and that's the new norm, because in Pokemon you always go by the last sold price. So there's a Charizard first edition PSA 9 I saw sell on Instagram stories for $30,000. What, last week? I think that was a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 card. That came down massively in the space of a week, 2 weeks. So if we saw that price jump that high, straight away people would be talking about, oh, it's a shill a bit, it's not a real sale. So why are people, when the price has dropped and the price is reversed, not thinking the same thing? Why are they not thinking, oh, that's a shill sale because somebody's manipulating the prices to come down so they can buy cards in preparation for the 25th anniversary when we're probably going to see a boom again? But that's another video for another day if you want to see it. Okay, so now we're going to move over to Pokemon Price to give you guys a couple of examples of some of these cards that we're seeing actually dropping in price. Okay, so we are looking at the Unlimited. The picture is the first edition, but it's actually the Unlimited Charizard. So there you go, population reports, PSA 9, 4,809 of these cards out there. PSA 8, 3,686, and you can read the rest. So let's have a little look here at, let's go and organize it by grade. And we'll go to the 9s because there's so many 9s out there. So let's keep going until we hit. There we go. So, okay. There was one sold there, $2,700. and you can see these are the prices of listings on eBay. So a lot in that kind of mid 2000-ish range. One there on the 13th for just over 3,000. So you can see here, which was just a couple of weeks ago, but probably best off looking at these ones first. Let's go back. So end of October time. One for $5,000 there. So end of October, which was 3 weeks ago, we were seeing these PSA 9s selling consistently for over 4,000. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That one there looks a bit dodgy. I'd kind of it was a best offer one. I'm actually sold for that. And then we come here, which is a little bit after, so again consistently over 4,000, a drop from that 4,500, but consistently you've already seen a bit of a dip there. And then as the prices come on into November, one sold for 900 there. I'd have to look into it a little bit more. This just to give you guys, you know, just a brief overview, but you can see these prices across numerous sales have been coming down a little bit. And you can see there, to under 3,000, one sold for over that. That's the thing with auctions, you're always going to get them for different prices. There's no set in stone price, but it's just to kind of demonstrate where things are. And I mean, I was going to say that looks dodgy, the price of them there, but that's because it's 2017 for the PSA 10s. So that is just literally, I don't want to go into that. So that is just to give you a quick flavour of the difference in prices. And I use Charizard because apparently Charizard never drops in price. Well, there we go. And as if by magic, the Jack Stacked Serial Thriller is back full screen. And we're wrapping up today's video. I'm interested, guys, to hear what you think about the current price trends that we're seeing, the dip that we're going through. Do you think it's just a natural kind of correction? Do you think that it's shill bidders trying to bring the prices down so people can buy product up, ready to sell next year on the 25th anniversary, when a lot of people, including me, suspecting we're going to see prices rise again? Do you think that this price retrace is long overdue? Let me know what you guys think, because that's what this video is here for, to give my opinion on what I think's happening and to hear what you guys think as well. I get a lot of messages on Instagram. I say a lot of messages. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm not trying to portray that I'm this super popular guy that gets hundreds of DMs every single day like other Instagram users do. But I do get messages occasionally, or frequently I should say, discussing this kind of thing, or asking me this kind of thing. And that's kind of what's led me to make this video. I've been a bit delayed on making this video for two reasons. One, life has been busy and I haven't had time. Two, to me, this is like my approach, my thinking about, like, my opinion on this seems common sense. And I just assume everybody would think the same. But then when I actually speak to people, I realise, well, no, this is just my opinion. It's not actually common sense. But yeah, it is what it is. But regardless, I'm interested to hear what you guys think. If you disagree with me, that's fine. You don't need to call me a dickhead or a knobhead or whatever. Just put in the comments below why you disagree with me. Maybe we'll have a debate. Maybe we can talk about what, like, adults, rather than pretending to be kids in the schoolyard insulting each other. That's it for today though, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you've made it this far, please do hit that thumbs up button, as it will help the video out. The more likes, the more views these videos get, the more incentive there is for me to make them. We are fast-ish approaching 8K subscribers. If we can get that by the end of the year, it would be pretty cool. So please hit that subscribe button, share the video, yada yada yada. But until next time, remember, collecting ain't no gimmick. It's a lifestyle.